All right, today we're going to talk about classifying polygons. So turn in your notes to this page, follow along. A polygon is a closed figure formed by segments. And we've learned before that a segment is kind of like a line, but it is only a little piece of a line. So it's a closed figure that is formed by segments. And you've got a lot of different types. You can look down here, you can see here's a triangle or a pentagon or a rectangle. These are all examples of polygons. So let's go on down here and talk about how to name the polygons. A polygon that has 3 sides, of course you should know this one, is called a triangle. And 4 sides is a quadrilateral. And quad meaning 4 and lateral meaning sides. So 5-sided thing, you might think of the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. So 5 sides, like this shape over here. A 6-sided polygon is called a hexagon. I remember this one because hexagon has an X in it, and so does 6. So a 6-sided figure is a hexagon. A 7-sided figure is called a hept, H-E-P-T, A-G-O-N. So 7-sided figure is called a heptagon. An 8 is an octagon. You might think of circles. And then an N, any generic N-sided figure is called an n-gon. So there are those definitions. And then the sum of all angle measures of any n-gon can be found by using this formula. It is 180 degrees times the quantity of n minus 2. And this is for n sides. So however many sides something has, you will be putting in that number for the n. So for n sides. So for example, and if you ever forget this equation, you could use something that you know. For example, you know that a triangle, all of the degrees in a triangle add up to 180. So if you apply this formula to that, you would do 180 times n, which is the number of sides. How many sides are on a triangle? 3. So 3 minus 2, and then that would be 180 times 1. Well, what is 180 times 1? It's 180. And you already knew that all the sides of a triangle add up to 180. Another example you might use would be a square. All of the angles of a square add up to 360. If you applied the formula, that would be 180 times 4 sides on a square minus 2. So that would be 180 times 2. 180 times 2 is 360. If you add 90 and 90 and 90 and 94 times, that adds up to 360. So if you can't remember that formula, you can always try it on one of these shapes that you know. All right, a regular polygon means that all sides and angles are congruent. And we've learned before that congruent means equal. So anything that's regular shaped, all of these up here that we talked about are regular shapes, meaning all of their sides and all of their angles are congruent or the same length. So for instance, if you had a square, all of these are going to be 90-degree angles. And let's say if this side was 5, this side would be 5, this side would be 5, this side would be 5. So that's what we mean by all sides are the same or congruent or equal, and all angles are the same or congruent or equal. All right, let's go use this formula a little bit down here. So find the angle measure in each regular polygon. So if you look at these, you know they're regular. Each of the sides, since it tells you they're regular, that means that each of these sides has the same length, even though we don't know what that is. Each angle has the same measure. They are all labeled as x. So how many sides does this figure have? It has 5 sides. So applying the formula from up and top, that formula is 180 times n minus 2. So 180 is always just the degrees, times n in this case would be 5 minus 2. So that's 180 times 3, and multiplying that together you get 540 degrees. Now, what that means is that all of the angles in this figure add up to 540. We need to find out what each of these is. So how many angles are there that add up to be 540 degrees? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 x's that add up or that equal 540 degrees. How do you solve that? You divide by 5 and you get that each x is 108 degrees. And you can use a calculator on that if you need to, or 500 divided by 5 is 100. 40 divided by 5 is 8, so 108. Do the same thing over here. How many sides does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides. So that formula, let's do it over here, would be 180 times 6 is the number of sides minus 2. So that would be 180 times 4, which is 720 degrees. Now that's how many degrees that this whole polygon's angles add up to. So how many y's are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means that 6 y's together equals 720 degrees. Divide both of those by 6, and you get that y equals 120 degrees each. So that is it for using that formula on regular polygons. All right, let's go ahead to the next page. On the next page, you have an option. You can either Google all of these terms and write down definitions, or you can just follow along with me. So a trapezoid is a four-sided figure. So four-sided figure with exactly one pair, click off, I don't know what's going on here, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. With exactly one pair of parallel lines. All right, this thing is not liking me today. So, and we learned before, and remember that one pair, a pair means two. So this has two sets of, or two sides that are parallel. We learned before that the notation on that would be to draw a little triangle on here and color it in going that way. That side is parallel to this side. So top is parallel to the bottom, and that's how you indicate or notate that those two sides are parallel. A parallelogram, again, has four sides with two pairs of parallel lines. So four sides with two pairs of parallel lines. So the top, this one, is parallel to the bottom, or this one. And then these sides are parallel. So it doesn't matter if you make your arrow going up or down on these, but you would do the same thing on each side. So that is parallel to that. So top is parallel to the bottom. The left side of this is parallel to the right side. All right, a rectangle has four sides, and it's wigging out on me again. I'm going to pause. Four sides. Here we go. We're back. Four sides and four right angles. So four sides and four right angles. So if you go over into your rectangle, that's a right angle, that's a right angle, that's a right angle, and that's a right angle. But notice that not all four sides are the same. In a rectangle, two of the sides are longer. These two, the top and bottom, are congruent. So maybe we could put one line on each of these so that we've used this notation before. And the sides have a different length, but these two are congruent. So since these both have two little marks, you know that those are equal length, and since these each have one mark, you know that those are equal length. All right. A rhombus, this is a rhombus over here, has 4 congruent sides. So again, with our notation, if we put one mark on each side, that would indicate that each side is the same length or congruent. So that's 4 congruent sides. A square, of course, has 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles. So 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles. And if you'll notice, 4 congruent sides also makes a square a rhombus, and the 4 right angles also makes the square a rectangle. So a lot of these, like a square is a rhombus, like we said, and it is a rectangle. So if you look at page 342 in your book for a Venn diagram of all the quadrilaterals, it will explain to you a little bit more about how everything on this page is a quadrilateral. They all have 4 sides, but they have different relationships. So some of them have parallel sides or one set, some have 2 sets, things like that. So, and we will do more with the Venn diagram in class tomorrow.